warm out here a minute ago.
It was. I think we just got so passionate talking about films that it got heated.
Very quickly.
Hold your cup.
Maybe it's the sexual tension.
Oh, it could
According
be.
to some people it would be, but...
Every time that cat comes in, it's so...
Fuck, I get so turned off.
So, we're back with another exciting movie review. So that would have warmed you up.
I would have scalded me.
You would have had more than water on your glasses. You would have had tea and everything.
True.
We are back for a wonderful movie review of the amazing Space Sweepers!
Yeah,
which
on
has
the same
finally
day
been released.
that we did every other review.
No,
that
it's
George
not.
would have you believe.
It's actually different days,
It's
and
not.
Mark just doesn't work.
This is what I think that you do on me, is like you change to make me look like a total tramp.
Well, you should just bring more clothes. So, we
here.
Space Sweepers,
Space
now on
Sweepers,
Netflix.
Netflix.
Finally, which, do you know what, was kind of a nice surprise, because I thought...
Was it supposed to be released theatrically?
Well,
I'd imagine.
I mean, the scale of it, like it was, I mean, it's a huge movie. So yes, I would like to have seen it on the big screen, definitely.
Yeah.
But before we get into spoilers and stuff, definitely a thumbs up for me. A lot of fun. I've watched it twice now.
You've watched
really
it twice?
Enjoyed it. Yeah.
Wow.
Really enjoyed it. So, shall we get spoiling?
Well, just kind of give us a synopsis of the film.
Synopsis is pretty much something we've seen all before.
Million times.
Yeah. Do you know what? To be honest, this whole movie is a rehash of many things that we've seen before.
Yeah.
But kind of like taking the best of the bunch and just kind of.
It was like
combining
Space
them.
Truckers meets Star
That's what
Wars.
I said.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's Space Truckers? Space Truckers meets
Space
Star
Truckers
Wars.
is fun. Yeah.
This meets Guardians of the Galaxy.
Meets Guardians of the Galaxy.
Here. I mean, this is
Without
what it all
aliens.
boils down to. And it has got the Star Wars element, as in this is the crew of the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, and they have their own Death Star.
Right? Exactly. And, do you know, there's a lot of tongue-in-cheek in it, and I think it was purposely done for that reason. I think this was written by and directed by a fan of all those aforementioned movies that has really just wanted to do a love letter to...
Sorry. I'm cold, so I'm tense. Ooh. Sorry.
Oh. So anyway, it revolves around this bunch of sort of space
cowboys.
Sweepers.
They sweep the...
They are the space sweepers.
They
are
sweep
cowboys.
the galaxy for...
But they are very much the guardians
space junk.
of the galaxy of this world. They really are.
Fun little crew.
They're fantastically correct. I really like them. And I really want to see more. But they get a bit of cargo, surprisingly, which turns out to be this little girl who's fabulous, Dorothy, who is said to be a hydrogen bomb that could wipe out this new world that has been built in the orbit of Earth, because Earth is, dying.
They hope that Dorothy's this hydrogen bomb that will eviscerate Earth so that this megalomaniac can realize his dream of terraforming Mars.
Basically, yeah. And that's it. I mean, it's quite simple in story. Yes, we've seen it all before, but it's still
many space operas are quite simple in story.
Yeah. But for me, it still had a kind of fun freshness about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's spoil. Let's spoil. Spoilers.
Spoil the goods.
Spoilers. So yes, if you haven't already seen it and you don't want to miss out on any little surprises here and there, there's not a lot really, but it's still worth checking out. Definitely.
It is definitely worth checking out.
So, Jo Seung-hee directed it.
Yeah.
And Jo Seung-hee has directed a few things, not a lot, but a few things. But for me, this looks like it was directed by someone who's done a lot more than what Jo has offered. It was massive on scale. Like
I haven't seen a film. I was conflicted because of its similarities with others.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen a space opera as visually ambitious since Valerian.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, a lot of space operas and science fiction films are quite, you know, I suppose they're scientifically quite.
That's why
they try and push the science to be like, wow, like even Ad Astra, as good as it was, you know, had that wow element. It might not have been exciting and compelling, but it was a good film. But it was visually quite splendid. This was like, there was almost at times with the production like too much. This is a world like Star Wars that's lived in.
Yep, there's no detail missed.
No, not even like, down to the tiniest little...
The little pipe on the wall. Like, it was amazing to look at. Absolutely.
Very, very visually beautiful. Now, this was made for 24 billion Korean dollars, we'll call them, because I don't know what Korean currency is, which translates to about 22 million US dollars.
That's better than Greenland.
That is less money than Greenland. Hell. And look at what they did.
Wow, okay.
Money clearly goes much further in Korea than it does. And in China than it does.
Well, I tell you what, the visuals alone were Marvel quality of MCU quality.
They were big screen quality visuals.
They were huge. And
thank God I have such a massive
for
TV.
Such a small budget,
compared to what Marvel and that work with.
I mean, that's even bumped it further up there. I didn't know his budget, but that's impressive.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
That's amazing. Okay.
What they got out of it. But yeah, so I think for me, it was visually intoxicating, almost to the point of distraction, where it was one of those films that I probably need to watch a few times.
The second time for me was a much more
I was concentrating on the story.
Yes, now you know what's happening, you can relax. And when you relax, you see things.
Yeah. And part of the reason that I couldn't relax the first time is because one of the clever aspects of the films was everyone has a translator earpiece. So they just kind of they talk and they talk in their own language, but everyone can pick up. Now they don't actually. You don't hear them picking it up in their earpiece, but you know that that's what's going on. That they're talking and they've got these translator devices that they can all talk to each other without anything getting lost in translation.
The introductory scene explains what these are.
Yeah.
You know, because your woman's smashing it off the table saying, "Damn, translator's
yes.
broken."
Yeah.
We instantly, that's all it takes, but instantly we know everyone's got these in.
So I like that. I like that, but It caught me off guard a couple of times because they would have jumped from English then into Korean then to French and then it was like, whoa. And the guy that spoke, I think it was actually it might have been Swahili or something, the black guy. It did sound English.
Sometimes
but
it had English.
You actually needed the English subtitles because I was like, what did he say? And then I'm reading the subtitles and I was like, that's not what he just said, so it's not English.
Yeah.
So it did need the subtitles. But there was a lot of jumping in terms of language, which obviously I want to pay attention to the visuals, but I also want to pay attention to what's going on.
Very multicultural project.
It was, yeah. And I that sometimes to me, if a film's going to be in subtitles, I kind of like it to be in subtitles because then I know that I can watch and read and enjoy, but because of the kind of bounciness of the dialogue going from English to Korean to whatever, I was like, oh, and I'm like, oh, they're not talking English, and what did I miss?
But I personally, I love that because my thought is if you're out in space or in the universe and there's aliens and other people from other planets as well.
Do you know what? You just traveling to another country.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I mean. You're going to be mixing with all these...
Yeah.
I would die for one of those earpieces.
I mean,
holy shit.
What a lazy way, though, of learning. Like, let's not learn a language. Everyone's kind of come together for this UTS, this united...
Yes, but it's, in a sense, yes, it's lazy, but it helps.
It certainly helps in the story. It helps them as workers and
it's a thing that they've had, obviously, for a long time. So to us, it's new, but to them, it's just what's been there.
Yeah.
You know,
they're used to it.
But very, very good. I really liked it. And I loved the blend of accents because everyone was
really,
taking
really nice. Yeah.
Every small actor who was French, English, whatever, American, all had their own good lengthy bits of dialogue there.
Yeah, they did.
They all became a part of it much more comfortably.
Yes.
Like they weren't trying... I know
that
when we're watching Chinese or Korean movies where they're trying to speak English, it doesn't have that same delivery.
No.
Whereas here they could be as natural as they wanted and it worked for me. It just, Oh, I really liked it.
Yeah, you found that with Skyfire, didn't you? You know, those moments of English,
sort of,
there is that stilted delivery. Like you would expect a
quite.
Chinese or Korean person to kind of have that little bit of difficulty because
almost.
it's not their first language.
Yeah.
As good as their English is.
But this is why this became I think worked better.
Because they're not having to guess work. Or try and be like,
I would say
is
honestly,
this translating properly?
The hard part would have been when they were making it for other actors that didn't speak their co-stars' language, learning when their cue was. I mean, that for me is another bonus to what they've done here, because there was moments there where they were just conversing and bouncing off each other, and unless they're fluent in 3 languages, they've got to know just when to come in.
Yeah,
very smart.
Yeah, it was. But yeah.
And we don't see that in Star Wars or Guardians of the Galaxy. We see other
no, we do hear them
say
and them speaking other languages and things. Yeah. But the people in those films can speak those languages, you know, and
but
the androids speak.
We don't get the conversation.
No,
they just repeat a few words.
Yes,
so they do.
Whereas in this film, it flows.
Yeah.
No one's having to wait to decipher. There's not a delay. There's not a loss in translation. No. It's just flow. And actually, for a Korean space opera, it worked incredibly well, because it, as I say, there was that bouncing that I'm using that word a lot, that back and forth that did have me 1 minute I'm very comfortable watching what's going on, and then all of a sudden the subtitles came up and I was like, oof. And I didn't want to miss anything, because as non-complex as the plot was, I didn't want to miss anything vital to the story.
It was non-complex, but it did, unlike the others we've mentioned as such, it does take a couple of wee more dramatic moments, you know, where
heavier moments.
Yeah, it does have a couple of,
and it's quite
Korean. Yeah, it has it. So you're enjoying yourself, you're enjoying the ride. You have that Guardians of the Galaxy kind of feel good on for the most part, and then it kind of takes you out of it, and you do kind of feel a bit more emotional, or there's a bit more dramatic moments going on, and I just enjoy it. I actually want to see it on the big screen.
Whenever I was watching it, I mean, but I did think, God, that would have been so amazing to see like the 800 on the big screen.
Yeah, because there was some chases, like that opening chase.
There was an awful lot going on that even on a big TV, I was like, ooh, you know, my eyes are bouncing all over, and then I was like, which ship switch and who's still attached to this?
It was very live comic book.
Oh yeah,
wasn't it?
Do you know what? Like, have you ever read the old Valerian comic books?
No,
Valerian
I have seen them, but yeah.
That's what they're like. That's what it was like. This kind of very abstract, colourful frames.
And very colourful.
Very colourful film. Again, like Valerian and the City of Many Planets, you know, and Guardians of the Galaxy, that very, very colourful space opera that's becoming super popular. But I did like it. I mean, let's go through it kind of. I suppose the best thing to do with this one is to kind of break it down kind of bit by, not in terms of the story and where it goes, but kind of just bit by bit in terms of the production, everything that was kind of going on.
Well, first of all, the main characters, characters, you've got the lead, who is
Tae-ho.
My God.
Kim Tae-ho.
Again, I've warned my husband 100 times, if he turns up at the door, I am out of here.
Is he...
Song Joong-ki, he is in Descendants of the Sun.
Yes, I knew I'd seen him in something.
Arthur Chronicles.
Yes.
And
he plays the twins in Arthur.
The amazing Battleship Island. Have you seen Battleship Island?
I haven't seen that. No.
It's on Amazon Prime. Check it out. It's incredible. But he was also in A Werewolf Boy, which was directed by the director, Joe. Yeah. So they've obviously worked together, but I just love him. He's gorgeous. But before he was...
Very good actor.
He's an amazing actor, yeah. But I'd already seen him. One of my favourite South Korean television shows, and general overall favourite television shows, is the Korean show Running Man.
Oh yes,
which I've told you about. This. And he was in it when he was a bit younger. He was in it
as a contestant,
and they all used to swoon over him, and he was still super
Any wonder?
He was so gorgeous.
He is beautiful man.
But he definitely had that Han Solo thing going on here, didn't he? In a sense,
it was,
or more so.
Yeah.
What do you call him?
Star-Lord.
Yes, he had very much a Star-Lord
Peter Quill
approach. Yeah, and I like that.
Not instantly likable either.
No,
because he's not, and none of them are. That's the interesting part. They don't necessarily all get along.
They're a nod. They're like the Suicide Squad of space.
Yes,
aren't they?
Yeah, they're tough. They kind of are.
Yeah. The captain was
Captain
Kim Tyree, who
Yes,
was the
Yang.
girl from Miss Sunshine,
Yes.
Mr. Sunshine, Miss Sunshine.
Yeah.
She was Miss Sunshine. And she was brilliant. She had a very 80s look.
Yeah.
Like her hair was done quite 80s.
Yes.
She looked like she stepped out of Akira.
Yeah, she looked amazing.
She did look amazing, and she had some fantastic action scenes, as they all did.
And some fantastic lines. She was very dry, very kind of, I'm the boss and fuck it, you guys, know. And she says fuck it a couple of times in the film, you know.
She actually, and it was a lovely change from seeing her, because we had watched Mr. Sunshine quite recently.
Which is much more romantic. And,
and she was very subdued in it, apart from her few action scenes. But she was brilliant in this. Really, really loved her. And then Tiger Park, who was like the Drax of them.
Oh, he was epic.
Jin Sun Kyo, who we have seen in My Kingdom.
Yeah.
My Kingdom is a Hong Kong movie, Chinese movie. But yes, in Kingdom. And he was brilliant. I mean, he was quite a surprise character, actually.
He was. I expected at the start. He does look like the one that is going to be the dickhead of the bunch, and he actually turns out to be the most humble and warm of all the characters. Taeho is the lead. Taeho is the character's name.
But there's a reason. There's a good backstory to him.
We'll get it. We'll get it. But I did think that Tiger was going to be the one that I didn't like, and Taeho would be the one because he's the hero.
Really, isn't it?
Well, no,
from that.
It's more from how they present themselves at the beginning. So Taeho is kind of presented as a hero, like he's on a mission. He wants to find his daughter.
Yes.
And then and then he's kind of in this misfits with Yang and with Tiger and Bubs.
Yes, and Bubs. Of course, we're getting there to Bubs. Bubs is fucking hilarious.
Bubs is a girl.
I
loved it. What a fucking...
Bubs is a trans robot.
Non-binary robot.
Well, a non-binary.
And the only reason he's non-binary is because Dorothy calls him sis. And then he's kind of like, oh yeah, cool.
Dorothy being the girl who's...
Yes, this
bomb.
This bomb, essentially.
Anyway, yes, Bubs talks like a man.
Yeah.
But it almost looks like a reject from iRobot, in a sense.
Yeah.
But
very Star Wars.
Yeah, like
80s robot style.
But he's very much like something we would have seen lately in Mandalorian. Like one of those old robots.
Like KTSO.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much like him, which was lovely. Very much the exciting...
I like that they give him a smile and everything.
Yes. Yeah, this digital kind of emotions.
Yeah.
Really. Brilliant, but always wants to get a skin graft and become more...
He's greedy.
Human. Yes, he's
very greedy. He won't share his money.
But hilarious. And loves wearing some crazy jumpers.
Yeah, crazy jumpers and jackets and shoes. He's wearing trainers
but
and
this is what I love about it.
Yeah.
It's just so comic booky.
Yeah.
I think when you go back and watch it again...
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
You start to see these little things that actually... is very, as I say, tongue-in-cheek, or done for fun. And that's what actually started to make it work even more than when you're watching it, you think you're getting more of a serious space opera, but it's not.
It's not. It's just a real kind of action-packed, fun space adventure.
It really is.
It is. It truly is.
With some incredible space battles.
Yes.
Like exciting space
battles.
But yes.
Dorothy.
And Dorothy.
Or I can't remember her Korean name.
Parky Rin. Oh, Kotnam.
Kona. Is it? Kona.
Oh, she's so gorgeous.
She is the cutest little button of joy I've ever seen.
But this is,
I want a Korean baby.
I said this to you before, that any Korean shows or movies that we watch, anytime they use children, they're amazing actors. The Korean kids are fabulous.
Yeah.
Like that little girl from Train to Busan and so on and so on.
Phenomenal.
There's so many, but
they're very, very talented.
She was very cute, very funny.
Yeah.
As was Suni, Taiho's daughter.
Oh.
She was bloody gorgeous.
Wasn't she adorable?
I was so sad.
I was a bit confused. Was she deaf?
Yes, she was deaf, and then while they were living up above, he was offered the help to make her hear a bit better.
Again. Okay. When he got his job.
Although I don't, so there was so much more in those backstories.
Wow, there was a lot going on there.
this is why I want to see more. I want to see more from
You want to
them.
see Space Sweepers 2?
I
That's
do.
quite hard to say.
Space Sweepers 2.
Space
Yeah.
Sweepers 2.
Electric Boogaloo. But
oh yeah, what a title that would be. Let's do that.
But yes, she was brilliant. She was
very, very
so
great,
even from that moment, that introductory scene where they find her in the airbag, as they call it.
Yes.
Which was
the weirdest airbag ever.
A giant hatch full of
balloons,
basically, space balloons. And there
on
she
an
is,
old shuttle,
looking up in her little helmet. Oh.
Yeah, I mean to put that into perspective, they basically sweep the galaxy for space trash. So anything that's been discarded by Earth or in space, they are kind of brought in to clean it. And take it to the factory where it gets processed down and sent to Earth and down to the scrap heap that is Earth.
And they collect their fee, and then they also get money taken off them for
debts,
breaking stuff, or
taxes.
Yeah. It's quite a brutal way of life, actually.
It's not a glamorized version of living in space.
No, it's kind of Snowpiercer kind of type living if you're not first class.
Yeah, exactly.
And the first class people are up in UTS, which is this almost like a snow globe.
It is, yeah.
In the orbit of the perfect Earth.
It's Sokovia with a beam around it.
Under the dome.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's kind of like under the dome. But a very utopian society.
Very much so.
I mean, they don't look utopian. I mean, they look like normal people. I mean, whenever you see like a utopian science fiction film, they're in like weird costumes.
Yes.
These guys are just kind of in clean clothes.
But smartly dressed, in a sense. Now, what we haven't mentioned there is that this is created and led by the wonderful Richard Armitage, which was a surprise.
Wasn't that just?
Surprise casting of a villain.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, wow. Such a big name to bring in. Theoretically,
I mean, yes, if you live in the UK, you'll know who Richard Armitage is. I mean, he was in books and he did Strike Back.
Yeah.
Chris Ryan Strike Back.
A few other
people people thought that he would be the next Bond and stuff. So he is quite a well-known person.
Yeah, but he did obviously the Peter Jackson lot. You know,
the Hobbit trilogy.
Yeah. So he obviously has up the level or four there. But to have him come in here and play such a role like this, he was quite menacing.
Yeah, he was menacing.
The length of screen time that he did have, he still managed to prove himself.
Yeah,
I think
he does come across at the start as just like egotistical and a little bit
megalomaniac.
Yeah,
manic.
And it's kind of like, well, yeah, of course, you know, you have to have that bad guy, but he becomes a lot more sinister.
Yeah, he does get a bit darker.
Yeah,
the more and more it goes on.
So can you explain to me, because this is something I don't know about the movie, what the fuck is going on with the veins?
Yeah,
that did not explain what was going on there.
No, it didn't, and that was kind of a part of it that I thought I had missed.
Yeah.
And then when I watched it the second time, I actually realised, no, I haven't caught anything here.
Like, I was like, what's going on with him? Why every time he gets angry does this... I know my veins pop whenever I get angry, but not like that.
His went almost like...
like he's like mutating?
Yeah, like
he's
a
becoming
demon
Hulk
or something. Almost, and his hands, his neck, right up his face.
His eyes even changed colour.
Yeah, no, he does talk... When he's threatening people and killing off people, he does talk about the demon in everyone.
Oh, God.
What?
Sorry, I don't know what was in the bottom of that cup.
I'm not going to tell you either.
Oh.
But we'll be back after this commercial break.
Yeah. Oh, I'm back. Guess who's back? I'm as controversial as the director.
So yes, okay.
So wonderfully cast. We've established
fantastic cast.
And in terms of the international cast, all the supporting players.
Do you know what? Surprisingly brilliant.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of faces there I've seen in South Korean shows, television shows. So these must be residents of South Korea, international residents who obviously have taken up acting and they have appeared in a few things there. But in terms of the art direction, the production design, all that kind of thing, I mean, it was just gorgeous to look at. From the costumes to the weapons. Like the weapons were freaking brilliant. They were so much fun. Bubs and his spear where he's like jumping across.
We'll get to that. I mean, that was we'll get to the action scenes, but
yeah, I mean, there's so much, as we said earlier, the detail in it was you couldn't fault it really. No. You know, it was just
or you could fault it to it being too perfect.
Too perfect.
You know, it was almost that
like
every
it was
single
like a genuine world.
Oh, it was such a lived-in world that you instantly felt whenever you watched it. I think because it was humans and not aliens, and there was no aliens there, you instantly felt drawn into it because of the humanity of it, right?
Yes.
And then you're seeing all of this space garbage, you're seeing their living conditions, you're seeing the different tiers in society, and you are kind of like, oh, it's very realistic because that's how we live on Earth.
Do you know, can I jump in quickly? Because you just mentioned it. I think it was great not seeing any aliens.
Of course it was.
It was so refreshing for a space opera not to have silly looking creatures running around, you know.
I mean, it's like, you know, in that respect, it's kind of like Stargate. Because if you remember Stargate didn't really have aliens. I mean, it had like robots and things and people who were, I suppose, aliens but were human and lived on other planets, you know, through the Stargates. But they were human or humanoid.
Humanoid, yes.
Whereas with Star Wars, you have actual aliens, like really well designed.
Same with Guardians, very colourful.
Yes.
Aliens. Whereas this was so refreshing because it just didn't rely
it just had like humans from all over the world.
Pretty much Bubs was the CGI character that worked. He fit in perfectly. CGI was bloody gorgeous in it.
CGI was amazing, but I mean in terms of the art direction, what I loved was the kind of, it was almost like cyberpunky.
That's what I mean. It had areas where it was very Akira like.
Yeah.
Moments.
Yes, that cyberpunk Akira style.
So it did have that anime. It was a live action anime,
and then it had those kind of moments of like altered carbon. You know, very slick. You know, living environments. You know, everything was very nice. It was clean. It was white and green. Very perfect.
Yeah. So when it took you from the lower class, you got such a shift in balance.
Oh, massively, and then everything in between was just whatever it was. You know, it was colourful, it was fast moving, it was bombastic. It just, see the minute that thing went up from the Earth, because the film starts on Earth.
Yes,
the minute it goes up, I went, whoa! Like whenever you finally, when it comes back out and you see this.
Basically like a donut riding a beam of light.
Yeah.
That's what, while they're all, and it was fantastic.
In their gas masks, as Earth is so badly polluted. It was so impressive.
An incredible surprise.
The CGI was so wet. There are films that you watch and you know it's CGI.
Yep.
In certain scenes, you know, you're like, oh, that was clearly done on green screen or done in CGI.
Yeah.
This was kind of done in a way that I couldn't. I mean, it looked like they had built a completely new world. Yeah,
exactly. Even the ships and everything.
Yeah.
The ships were so original looking, weren't they?
Yeah.
I really liked them as well, but everything seemed real, like touchable.
Yes, it had a tangible quality to it.
Yeah, definitely.
It didn't look. I mean, you know, the space scenes were CGI, of course. Unless they were for real. We don't know how other countries work. But
and interesting again, they were on the orbit. So they weren't even in space.
No.
As such, they were just on the which made
just
for so much, because it almost had its own protection. I love that scene in the ship when Taiho is ignoring the controls and they are about to fly into UTS, into the dome.
Oh yes.
And they bounce off it.
Yes,
Somebody in the dome looks up and sees like what we would see with a plane, the skyscraper flying over. He does it.
Yeah.
And that's him trying to not smash into it.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it was. It was great seeing it, but the CGI was just so well done. And there's clearly a lot of it, but done so flawlessly and intricately well into the production design and the art direction that it just was quite seamless and very flawless.
Something so impressive on such a low budget.
You would expect to see the flaw.
Yeah. I mean,
at some stage.
Holy shit, that was incredible.
But I couldn't, unless they just bombarded us with so much colour that you couldn't see it.
Do you know, it reminded a lot, there was quite a lot of it, again, reminded me of the Guardians. I keep going back to Guardians because it was very much Korean Guardians. When they were in the prison and stuff like that. The set design of that. There was moments in here that reminded me of that because it looked quite like it. But yeah, the set design, even that alone, because obviously a lot of it was built on sets.
Yes, of course,
and it was incredibly impressive. Like, again, as you say, lived in, realistic.
Absolutely.
As if they'd done 5 of these movies before and kept the set ready for the next one, you know. But for the first movie of Space Sweepers that I hope continues, wow.
Yeah, really, really impressively done. And just a little bit... Well, okay, so in terms of the story, so I did have a couple of issues with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just a few.
tell me.
Just a few issues. I mean, the story was fine. I like the idea of these cleaners in space, you know, fighting over space garbage. I mean, who would have thought?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
our bin men aren't fighting over rubbish at the moment. Not yet, anyway. But I like that idea. It was space truckers. It was very fun. I was like, oh, this is kind of nice.
It was space truckers. It was brilliant.
They gave the characters a lot of development. And I'm always on about, and this is where I'm going to totally contradict myself.
Yeah.
I do love a good bit of character development and characters that I can relate to and can grow to love and grow to appreciate why they are so arseholy at the start, and then, oh, actually I really like this character. And that was like with Taeho. He was gorgeous, so I didn't think he was an asshole. He could have been an asshole the whole film and I would have just been like, oh my god. But delightful. You find out that he was a soldier, one of these soldiers, for UTS, who are terrifying. They look like robots, but they're not. They are people
trained from children.
Yes.
And kind of conditioned to just kill and do what they're ordered to do.
Yeah. And he has, we find out throughout the course of the film that he has been employed as one of these like police cops, I suppose. Space guards, that's what they're called.
Space guards.
So
kind of like more squared off RoboCops almost.
Very much. They're very boxy, aren't they?
But cool.
It was cool design. I love the big like fissures that came off the back of their head. The big spikes were very
like Chappie. They kind of look like Chappie.
That is I was trying to think. I've seen a similar design to this where I've seen
Chappie would have been stole from the animes and mangas, like the likes of Pat Labor and all those kind of Appleseed and all those kind of robots. So it all stems back to Japanese
But
design.
I knew that I had seen it in a modern film. I was like, where have I seen the design something? That's exactly what it was. Problem? Went on too long. Do
you know,
I kind of got to a point in the movie where I was like,
I'm
loving this mix of adventure and action and these lovely character moments and finding out. But
that is a Korean movie. That is a trope from Korean cinema, you know, and it is especially with Korean TV as well. We see that it extends far too much.
The episodes are like an hour and 20 instead of 40 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, this film is about 2.5 hours. Yeah, 2.5 hours. It could have done with a 20-minute trim at the very most.
But I think we would have lost an awful lot of those really lovely character moments and a lot of the development. And as much as I loved it, I was getting to the point where I was like,
but it's a cinema, theoretically, you're not used to seeing that kind of thing, you know, like those extended moments of those particular situations where...
we are. We are used to it. We've seen an awful lot of films to say that we can say that it doesn't matter whether there's a lot of character moments. We've been through it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It worked in the film, but I think it opens with such a bombastic space scene. It ends with such a bombastic space scene, and there's so many action bits.
Do you think if this had been a series, it might have been a bit more...
I probably would have appreciated the character development.
And they they probably might have extended that too much.
Yeah, well,
because we had out then?
Tiger and his whole, why is he so fatherly? Why has he got this? That was never explored.
No.
Yang's drinking was never kind of explored, why she was such a drinker. At the end, she says, well, Yang stopped drinking and all this.
Right,
and we never kind of understand a lot of the other characters and their motivations and what they were about.
Tai Ho's story first and foremost.
Absolutely.
And we got little drips of the other ones.
Yes.
I think had they tried to bring in everyone's story, then we would have ended up with a 3-hour movie.
that there becomes then an issue. Don't introduce. This is what, it's fine to introduce, and I think as a writer myself, it's different when you're writing a book or a novella or something, and you can bring in all of those character moments when you've only got a very short period of time.
Yeah.
To me, it's almost like, I want to do away with others' backstory. If I'm going to focus on one person, it's going to be, unless it's a drama, but this is a big space action film, and unless I can focus on every character and have enough time with each to give everyone enough of a...
theoretically they didn't have to mention the likes of her stop drinking at the end, because it perks her ears up wanting to know more.
Yeah.
But perhaps they cut stuff out to tighten
Most
it up
likely,
already.
yeah.
And there could have been other... We did get a wee hint of a flashback, but for each of them, like a small hint of a flashback, and that she was the one closest to getting the gun to Richard's head and so on, and the background of his story as a drug... a drug, not a dealer, but a trafficker. Yeah. So there was wee hints of what they were, but yes, we didn't go as deep as Taiho's. But
no,
then again,
and I liked it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. And that ending when they. Oh, we'll talk about the action in a minute, but that ending where he got that moment with Dorothy to find his daughter, that was one of the most beautiful moments.
Yeah.
I mean, I cry.
But that's why
everything. I'm such an emotional mess.
That's why I think they focus more on his story.
Yes,
because it related.
And what was so nice was if that had been a Hollywood film, she'd have still been alive somewhere.
Of course.
And what was so lovely is
picked up by another ship or something.
What was so nice is he knew she was dead, but he got to connect with her on a molecular level with these nanobots, and she got to say goodbye, and he got to finally read that thing that writing that he kind of ignored.
Yeah, he did.
He's broken up so much about throughout the film because he's reading her book and he's like, I want to be brave like Daddy.
Yes,
and
that's right.
He never read it whenever she wanted to show him it, and he's so broken up about this. And she's like, I finished writing.
It was a harsh moment,
like,
that actually, wasn't it?
Read it, and he reads it, and then she's like, goodbye, Daddy. And I was like, this is so lovely, such a lovely moment.
But that's the thing. Could you if they'd have taken strains of his story out to give the other two characters a bit more, I think we would have lost.
We would have lost that emotional level, absolutely. But obviously, what I'm trying to say is, don't give people. I know what people have backstories and people have pasts, but we encounter people every day, even in our working lives, where we know fuck all about them. Do you know? But you know what I mean. Even people that we work with every day. There's people that I worked with that I knew nothing apart from their name. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know anything about their life outside of work, and that's kind of what
this kind of should have been.
It was kind of like Taiho worked with them. They didn't particularly seem like they were friends, or that they didn't seem at the beginning like they had each other's backs.
No.
It was kind of like, fuck it, if we can get money, we can get money.
Like they worked together.
Exactly. And then introducing those things where they know that they're drinkers, and Tiger isn't exactly.
Well, do you know? Maybe if we get a sequel, a sequel.
Yeah.
We will get something else from
Maybe
that.
we will, hopefully. It would be really nice to see.
Yeah.
But it did extend itself for me a little bit too long. Yeah. But I mean, still.
But hardly in an off-putting sense.
No. The action. Let's start with the action scenes, because that's such an important part of this film.
Again, every panel when it came to action looked like it was pulled from a comic book. It was brilliant.
Mind-bogglingly good.
Even the camera movements with the space chases, very X-Wing fighter moments, which were brilliant. A lot of fun.
I love the banter and camaraderie between the space sweepers. Like, that's my bounty, and they're all like, I mean, it's not just a case of they've got it. They were like, get back, and some of them are still attached to it, and they're being.
If one seagull gets a chip.
Yes. That's
the other seagulls come in for it.
Yes.
That's how it was.
That's exactly what it was like. It was seagulls with spaceships fighting over a spaceship instead of a chip. But yeah, I love that banter and camaraderie between them all. You know, they all knew each other. They all knew the ship. Whenever that ship came, they were like, "Oh fuck, here they come! We have got no chance. Let's try and get out of here ASAP." Showing that they had a level of expertise and were
and the way he flew that ship, like it showed you, it was almost like a Fast and the Furious moment. You know the way they
had to turn things,
cut to gear sticks and everything, and spinning and pedals. That's what we got with this. Whenever it came, and his ship was flying.
It was flying,
and not to a point where you thought how daft. It worked. You know, there was a lot of jets coming
And did you
out.
notice actually the center bit of the ship stayed and the rest rotated?
Yes, it rotates
around it. So as he's like pulling, that he would stay like that, but the backs would move around it. I thought, I was like, oh, that's cool.
That's what I mean about the design of the ships and everything. They were so different, but looked. Do you know what? The more I think back to it, there's such an 80s anime approach to the whole design of the thing, how everything looked.
And there's some wonderful moments, you know, on the factory. You know, with guns and
when
things
they take
like
the
that
girl and the space guards arrive.
Yes.
And try to get Dorothy.
There's that scene. Now they're in the air ducts, but you know, it reminded me of that phenomenal scene in Minority Report. You know, whenever they let the spiders into the apartment complex and it goes over like that. That's what that reminded me of. I was like, oh, I'm not saying that Minority Report is the best part of that whole film. Do you know what I mean?
It was, but when they're up there looking down, I love that.
And you can see them going into the rooms and everything, and it was like, oh, this is cool. Again, there's an intensity level. You were invested. You were like, fuck, get out of there quickly. How are they going to get out? And it was all very well thought out. It was all very well done. That final space battle was literally A New Hope.
Oh, yes.
It was like Death Star, A New Hope, whatever. It was brilliant, but I loved the swap.
The what, sorry?
The swap. So they had... What I liked, now this was kind of corny Hollywood. This is kind of corny Hollywood where we've got our heroes, we're going to sacrifice ourselves, but we're not going to put Dorothy at risk, so we're going to swap her in this chaotic space chase, and they're going to follow us thinking we have her, but actually she's safe like 5,000 yards, 50,000 yards back with the French guy.
Yes, that's right.
And who was kind of hoping that might have got him somewhere with Yang, but it didn't. She was sticking to her guns and she weren't going for no Frenchmen. I would. And oh my God. She's attached to the back of that ship.
But I love like her final... the way she built that gun.
Oh my God.
And it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, like rockets guns, you know? Yeah. And then her final piece was her ring. That she turned it on. Yeah. That was just like, wow.
It was awesome. It was so well done, so well thought out, and that epic battle was great. And that corny moment, we'll talk about that in a second, but that corny moment where they kind of say out to the other space sweepers, you know, oh, come and fight with us if you want to, and you're going to die. And they all kind of come expecting that they actually might.
They might,
and some of them do, you know, get blown up in the battle, which, you know, happens.
That's right. But what a great moment.
What a fantastic moment. But the standout for me had to be Bob's jumping with his spear from ship to ship. I was literally on the edge of my seat, like, way!
Chucking his spear and sipping across on the wire.
And then ripping the fucking ships apart.
And brilliant.
Then, before it blows, firing his harpoon into the next ship and pulling along and flying. And I was like, Christ, come on, you! Do you know what? It's my equivalent to watching a football match because I hate football. So that was my equivalent. I'm like, ooh,
but it wasn't just like a brief moment. It was like, he had
like
a really
good
action piece.
Yeah. It was fantastic. It was so well done. And then I loved that they went out and blew up the bomb. And then it turns out that Dorothy actually, from that distance, that's incredible, from that distance she was able to use the red nanobots to encase them.
Protect them.
So that she could bring them back. And because otherwise she would have been left with nobody.
Yeah,
because her dad was killed.
It did show you how powerful she was.
Yeah.
Really. The other wee moment we missed there was when the girl in black who has come in from Man of Steel. And she is like a kick-ass martial arts villainous, who doesn't say a word,
Not
but just
one word.
beats the life out of everyone so brilliantly.
Yeah, she's number one.
Yes, that's right. She's the robot.
And
she's the space guard out of her robot or exoskeleton.
Yes.
We haven't used that term in a while.
No, we haven't used her exoskeleton. Her exoskeleton. But
that's
I love that they're ranked like that.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like number one. She's
because
the best.
Tai-Ho was number one.
He was number one. Yeah.
So it's kind of full circle.
Mm-hmm. And he's having to come face to face.
In fact,
with her.
Richard Armitage,
Tiger.
his character's whole story was full circle because everyone in that ship who was against him and had Dorothy had been a part of his life at some point. But yes, the fight scene between number one and Tiger was brilliant.
I loved it. I thought Tiger was a goner.
Yeah, I know.
I really did.
You have to.
But I just loved. You gotta hand it to him, don't you? He handed it to her and handed it to the rest of the crew.
Yeah.
But what a brilliant moment. I mean, it was full of so much fun, so much vivacity and energy, and it was just and quite a funny script. I actually laughed. You probably laughed too. When they're trying to barter. How much? That little voice box. No. And it's like a funny. I can't do it obviously because I'm not that machine. But when he's like talking on distorts his voice, and it's like, and he's like no, and it's like gets higher pitched. I'm like, this is fucking
because they're all
brilliant.
standing around him telling him what to say, and he's like,
and he's getting kind of flummoxed and everything, and then it goes from to them, and I'm like, oh, this is brilliant. It was so funny,
hilarious, actually.
It worked so well. Korean people don't have to try to be funny. That's not racist.
No.
It actually comes quite naturally to them. Like I was kind of like, you watch American sitcoms and you're like, Jesus Christ, this is like they're trying way too hard, and they rely a lot in America on sarcasm and dryness.
Yeah.
Whereas in Korea, it's just kind of like the most simple of things, like someone's voice on a regulator changing is just, and them to be able to do that without bursting out laughing at themselves, it's just so, it's so good. They're just such fantastic actors. And so,
what would you rate it?
I'm going to go with 4.
Oh,
yeah, because I really thought it was a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
And it was a well done film.
I think if you watch it again, you might actually appreciate it a wee bit more, if you know what I mean. Because I know I did second time round.
Yeah.
First time I didn't know what to
expect. Yeah.
But I loved it.
Yeah.
And the second time I could relax and enjoy it.
I think that the reason I give it 4 is because it does kind of copy from.
Oh no, it does, but I think it's done it.
Maybe it is done in a tongue-in-cheek kind of way.
I think it's done it in a fanboy sense.
Yes, but I think people will see it and be like, "Oh, this is," and I've read reviews for this. People are like, "Oh, it just is a pure rip-off of Star Wars. It's a pure rip-off of Guardians of the Galaxy." Nobody's mentioned Space Truckers apart from us.
Yes, but that was the first thing.
It's a total rip-off of Space Truckers. Way better than Space Truckers.
Exactly, but that's my thing. What is fresh now? And these guys have taken the best elements of all those movies and put them together in a very tidy package.
Absolutely, and sometimes it's kind of nice when you're a fan of something and you're a fan of a person or a creator or whatever. A lot of the times you're so driven to emulate. Everyone wants to be their own creative and their own creator in every aspect of life. But you do draw on people that inspire you and influence you, and sometimes you want to be like, I can do a movie like that, and I'm gonna pay some, I'm gonna have like my own Death Star, but it's gonna be this, and you want to emulate and you want to do justice to the people who have inspired you to want to make movies or to sing songs or whatever.
Life.
So people do it all the time. Nothing is really. There's nothing that has never been explored before in any creative.
Rip off anything.
No, they haven't ripped off. They've literally been inspired and paid homage to these wonderful sci-fi films that we know to create another wonderful sci-fi film. And I think people are being a little bit too harsh on it to give it such a low rating. I mean, it's sitting at on Rotten Tomatoes at 58. I think that's a little unfair, considering Greenland is much more of a cliche than what's
but again, a lot of the people don't take into consideration the budget spent on that.
Woo!
I mean, holy shit! If people knew that this was made for.
22 million US dollars.
What's that, like a tenth of what MCU movies cost?
Well, WandaVision alone's 225 million for 9 episodes.
I rest my case.
Yeah.
I give it 4.5.
Wow, okay. So you're a little bit higher than me.
Actually loved it.
Wow.
Like, I really loved it. I can see there is a couple of little flaws, minor flaws there as such, but I really, really enjoyed it. Love Song Joong Ki.
Yes,
absolutely adore him. I mean,
man.
please come marry me.
Please come.
Or just the first.
Yeah.
But I just thought there was so much about it, and I really, really, really want to see more. I would like a Space Sweepers trilogy.
Me too. And you know, actually, just talking about saying that he's just lovely. Someone, you'll know who you are because you do watch these, did say that in every single review that I mentioned how hot someone is, it's like, oh yeah, such and such is really hot.
Yeah.
And it's actually true.
It's kind of funny too. Yeah.
We both do. I get blamed for it, but we both do it because I think I'm just a bit more explicit.
But I just say I would marry so-and-so, or you know, he turns up at the door.
Sexy.
And,
I think that's what I said in the conversation I was having with this person. I would be like, "Oh, wouldn't have been my casting choice, but he is sexy." And then they said, "I love that everything that you do, it's like who is sexy."
Yes.
I'm like, "Yeah, because
you know,
I'm single. I candy. I want to be attracted to the people I watch."
They are a great looking cast without being sickening, if you know what I mean.
And Park Yi-rin is just...
Oh, she's so cute.
She's adorable. She needs to be in every Korean film ever.
To finish it off, last minute, Bubs finally gets his transformation as a woman, but still has his
her
voice.
man voice. And what's so lovely, it is very funny. What's so lovely actually about that as well, it just shows, I mean, it would never happen in a Hollywood, maybe it will now, but you couldn't see it in a Hollywood movie. He, she, Bubs.
Bubs.
We'll just call it, is it Dubs or Bubs? I think it's Dubs.
It's Bubs. It's a robot.
It's an it. It's a they. We'll call it a they.
Yeah.
They get their flesh suit.
Yeah.
Which sounds worse than it is. And they are female with a masculine voice. And what I love is that they are saying to Dorothy, they're doing the voice
tests. Yeah.
And Dorothy's just like, I like your voice, just keep it. And Bubs is kind of like, no, but I need to. Doesn't though. No. Doesn't change it. Just keeps their voice.
If you imagine Sarah Michelle Gellar with his voice, that's kind of Bubs.
Oh my God, poor Sarah. I would feel so sorry for Sarah Michelle Gellar had she had my voice.
Well, yeah. So there you
Jennifer
go.
Love, yeah.
That was
or Jessica Chastain.
It was just an example.
Jesus Christ. Sorry, I'm getting into it now.
Yes.
So that's our review of Space
review.
Sweepers. Our epic 2.5 hour review of Space Sweepers. But we really enjoyed it. There was a lot to talk about, and it's much more organic, I think, doing reviews this way. This is why I've kind of quit the writing.
Oh, have you quit the writing?
I'm not going to do it as a hobby anymore now that I'm not kind of doing it as work. I don't want to write.
You need to be over here filming more often then, and we could do more of this.
Yes, but I do have another job, George.
Well, you don't sleep.
That's true. I'm texting him at 3 o'clock in the morning. Oh my God, did you see this here? But yeah, I think, what was the saying?
Yeah, it's more organic. And
it's more organic and it's nicer to kind of...
But this is the kind of film you need to see and just... Well, every film you should see and judge for yourself, but
yes, absolutely.
We do highly recommend it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, yes, let us know if you've seen Space Sweepers. Commenting below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow and share and...
everything.
Just make us famous. We want to be the next George and Mark.
Yes.
Because we're not like anybody else.
No, we're certainly not.
We are a breed onto our own. And we'd love to be on television. Would we?
Again, been there, but you know... Listen.
I mean, so have I, but I mean, I'd like to be back on
yes,
television.
But Crime Watch is a different...
Oh my God. Thought everyone had forgotten about that time on Crime Watch. Oh, by the way, I was never on Crime Watch.
Anyway, thanks for watching. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for being you, and happy Valentine's Day,
Valentine's
George.
Day to you too.
Even though this won't be out on Valentine's Day, it is Valentine's Day where we are.
It is.
And we're feeling the
I've
love.
abandoned my husband for this talk about movies.
I would abandon my husband for me too.
It's very true.
Yeah.
He probably did too.
This is why I'm single, because there's no greater love than the love you have for yourself.
Very true.
That was so profound.
Very good.
Thank you.
I'm
Thanks
ending
everyone for
there.
watching.